Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, let me ask you a few questions. One, you were examined by Mrs. Brown White of Florida just recently, and a masterful obfuscation. I think she's asking you very simple questions, Ardell, and I have the same question. Why don't your equity owners provide the equity necessary for your company to go on? I don't want to hear whether they're pension funds or they have obligations. Isn't the truth of the matter is they do not feel that the presently structured auto industry of the United States is not survivable in its present form?
So they never conveyed that to me?
Well, then why didn't they give you money?
I'm sorry?
Why won't they give you any money?
I assume they have no access to additional funds.
I think she indicated they had $20 billion on hand. $24 billion. That's a considerable amount of money.
I don't know if that's in the form of cash or in the form of assets, sir.
But the taxpayers of the United States have that money on hand, and we should provide it as their representatives much sooner than your equity owners.
No, sir, I'm only suggesting that I have tried mightily to get funds to keep Chrysler alive.
I listened intent to the Senate examination yesterday, and I thought Senator Corker was excellent. And he basically told all of you, gentlemen, that from his business perspective as a businessman, he personally is a very successful businessman, he's looked at your balance sheets, and he said they just don't work. You can't retire your present debt on your plans over the next several years unless there's a restructuring, unless there's haircuts taken by your creditors, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm not familiar with all the facts of those things, but I'm reasonably willing to assume that he's looked at it, and I think most of you agree that something has to be done. This balance sheet doesn't make sense to a continuing, successful, viable business. If that's the case, it seems to me this is the time. Look, labor stepped forward. They're indicated the right to step forward again. Why can't the creditors step forward? Why can't the suppliers step forward? Why can't the dealers step forward? Why can't management step forward? Instead of $1 a year, I think you ought to take a no greater salary than any of the successful Japanese companies for as long as you're indebted to the United States. When you're out, I don't care what you do. But until that time, you shouldn't be getting 20 times the salary of a successful Japanese automotive executive. It's ridiculous. Now, those things are minor and could be solved. It just seems to me, and my frustration is, hey, we're running out of time. I don't know if you sense it as I do, but you're all telling us you're within 25 days of bankruptcy, potentially. This is not a time for us to horse around. What do we have to do? A very complicated agreement. Not that complicated that it can't be done in a reasonable period of a month or 2 months, but too complicated to put together and get done before the end of this month. So we're looking at the precipice. You're going to go over if we don't do something. It seems to me yesterday there was agreement in the Senate. If General Motors were able to get an advance, a bridge loan of $4 billion, if Chrysler were able to get a bridge loan of $4 billion, and Ford can manage itself until March 31st, we can get a hiatus here until March 31st for the new Congress and the new President to act. Is that correct?
It is correct for Chrysler.
For General Motors, the number we've indicated we need up to $4 billion at the end of this month, also at the end of January, and so the total amount that we would need as we see it today through the end of March would be up to $10 billion.
Up to $10 billion.
Yes, sir, but we do have collateral that we could offer against that.
Right. And Ford?
We believe we have sufficient liquidity. We do not need any money.
Okay. So you need an adjustment somewhere between 14 and downward, perhaps as low as $10 billion, to give us the 90 days we need as a Congress, both House and Senate and the new administration, to put something together. Is that agreed?
Yes. Can I make one more comment, sir? It's important.
Surely.
We were hoping to use the 90-day period to do exactly what you suggested, which is to work with debt holders, to work with the UAW, to use that time period.
Why aren't we doing that? Why are we all sitting around talking about business plan here, business plan there, and time is running out? And it almost looks to me like you hope that with that target coming down on us, you're going to get us to do something and just throw the money out there and say, go ahead, do with it as you will. I tell you this, I do not sense the Congress's appetite right now to do that. I think you're skating on extremely thin ice, and I happen to be a friend of your industry and your intent to get this thing straightened out. I think what you have to do is come up with a plan for success That means the haircuts have to be taken. The negotiations have to be had. We have to know where we're going. I'd urge you